Hello and welcome to the AECP video hop focused on marker magic. My name is Donna from Donna T Crafting and I'm excited to be here. I'm going to focus on creating a card using this Craft-A-Flower Epifilm layering die set. We're going to use that along with another die set called Fancy Hugs. We're going to use that as our sentiment. And then we're going to use a stamp set called Ornate Hexagon Stamp Set. It's one of the mini stamp sets, and we're going to use this hexagon on our card. Now back to this die set with the flowers. I'm going to do 2 of the smaller flowers and 1 of the larger flower, and it's a keyhole system that Altenew has. And that means the flowers will layer together following the keyholes. You just match those up. I'm going to be using my markers to add some highlights or color to each of the items that I have die cut. I went ahead and die cut all the pieces ahead of time. As you see here, I have started with my bottom layer, which is layer 1. It was my darkest layer, and I'm just showing you how I've added layer 2 and 3, so you can see that I don't really need to darken up the whole layer, just the tips, because that's all that's going to be showing. I'm using Altenew Artist Markers, and the color that I am using here is R616, which is Razzleberry. I'm going to be using this set plus a few other colors along the way. So this is my darkest color that I'm using. I'm just adding some flicks to the tips of these petals. So I'm starting with my marker down and then just kind of flicking it towards the end so it kind of raises it and gives it kind of an airy feeling at the top. On my second layer, I am taking a little bit lighter color. It is C003 called Rubellite. As you can see, I did enough of it so that it will stick out. The next color that I will be using, or the next layer, it's layer 3, and I'm going to be using R504, which is Pinkalicious. And again, I am just flicking. I laid the layer ahead, on top of it so I could see how much I needed to flick. I don't want it to go all the way to the end, but I don't need it to go all the way to the middle because it's going to be covered up. And again, the keyholes allows you to layer these up and align them very easily. The next layer, I am taking that same Pinkalicious and coloring that in the middle. Now this is going to be one of the top layers. There's one more layer that goes on top to cover up the keyhole, but I added that Pinkalicious and then I took some R601, which is Rose Quartz, to kind of blend that out and use a little bit lighter towards the tips of the petals. Now R601, the Rose Quartz, is not part of that set that goes with the other 3 colors, but I can't find my other one, so actually this color matches pretty well, so I went ahead and used this one. I just have a missing marker. The centers of these flowers, all 3 flowers, I cut those in yellow, and I am using Y414 Chamomile and C020 Sunray. I'm adding some dots in the middle. I'm going up a little bit on the little lines, and then I'm coloring in the little tips, some in each color. So just adding some color to this so that it's not just the flat yellow. I'm going to go ahead and do the 2 for the 2 smaller flowers as well. Again, just adding some dots on the tips in each of the colors and adding a little bit towards the base and up the little lines on it, so that it has a little bit of different coloring and some interest to it besides just the flat yellow. Now I'm going to take the smaller flower. I have 2 of those cut in a couple of different colors. It lays out a little bit different. It has a different keyhole. This one is actually an arrow. And I do have to start a little bit closer on these because like on this petals, they're going to stick out quite a bit. So I have to get closer to the middle on these on my colors. And on this one with my darkest color, I did both Razzleberry and Rubellite on this because I went Razzleberry in the middle and then blended that out a little bit with Rubellite. And then this next color, I'm going to take the Rubellite down at the tip and then come back with some Pinkalicious to blend it out towards the edge of the flowers. These layer together very easily again. Like I said, the arrows on this will allow this to layer together pretty well. You see I might get some marker on my glass work surface. That's okay. I can just spray it with a little bit of alcohol and wipe it up. It wipes right up off of my glass surface. So I don't have any worries about getting that alcohol, the alcohol markers on my glass surface. The next colors I'm using, I am going to start with some Rubelite again, and then add some Pinkalicious on this one. Again, it's just putting some dark colors in the middle, so it kind of depends on what color paper you cut it out with. Just go, darker and towards the center, and then lighter in the ends. And then this is a piece that's going to cover up our arrows. It's going to go towards the top. So I'm doing the Pinkalicious and the Rose Quartz on this one. The Rose Quartz is more to just kind of blend out that Pinkalicious. And then the second flower that I cut this one a little bit lighter, some layers of lighter colors on this one. So, but I still started with the Razzleberry and the Rubelite on the darkest petals, and then I'll work my way down in colors based on the colors that I have cut for each layer. And I did speed up all of this parts of the video. I don't color this fast. This is all in double time. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. That would be greatly appreciated. And comment on this video, and you'll be entered to win one of the prizes being given out by Altenew for this video hop. So make sure you like, subscribe, and comment, and then make sure you hop along to the other participants in this video hop. It would be greatly appreciated, and you'd be entered to win some fabulous prizes from Altenew. As I finish up these petals, again, just using the Pinkalicious and the Rose Quartz on these last few colors, on the lighter colors. Just a couple more petals to do here, and then we'll be able to go and work on the actual leaves of this set. Altenew artist markers are just fabulous to work with. I've worked with a lot of different brands, and these are fabulous to work with, that's for sure. For the leaves in this set, I cut them out in two different colors of green, you can see here. And I have three different colors of green that I'm going to highlight with. On the lighter green, I am going to be highlighting with B922 Green Lakes. That's in the center. And then I'll come back and highlight on top of that with G023, which is Eucalyptus. And I just, in the center, and made a line where the line was, and then added a little bit of flicks along the middle out towards the ends, and then I'm coming back and blending it with the lighter color, the eucalyptus color, on top of that, just blending it out a little bit further. Not spending a whole lot of time on it, but just giving it a little bit of shading, so that it's, again, not just a flat color green on the leaves here. For the darker green leaves that I cut, staying in the same family, the darkest color I'm going to use is B932, which is Forest Fern. Again, doing just down the center line and flicking out. Do that on each of those, and then I'll come back with the B922 Green Lakes again. And I'll use that as the lighter color to blend in that darkest one that I just added. They blend beautifully, these markers do. They just add a lot of wonderful colors. You can see as the pieces are laying there on my work surface, you can see how they have blended, and then they will dry back a little bit, as all alcohol markers do. When they first go down, they'll be a little bit darker, and they do dry back just a little bit. after they've set into the paper and dried completely. But I think this adds quite a bit to these flowers so that they're not just the flat petals there. I took a piece of black cardstock and I used the ornate hexagon, and I stamped in a silver metallic and a pink metallic ink. Now the pink is not real dark, but it adds a little bit of shine, and then the silver metallic. And then what I'm going to do, that's just down the side, so that's on purpose that it's just down the side. I'm going to take some glitter cardstock from Altenew. It's from the Milky Way set. And I was debating between two different colors. One was iridescent hematite, and the other one is black diamond. I couldn't decide which one I wanted to do down the center. These are wonderful glitter cardstocks. They don't rub off on your hand. This is the black diamond, and I think that is pretty, but when you see the iridescent hematite, that one just won my heart to match, to go in with that silver. I just think it is actually beautiful, and there is, you can't really catch it on camera, but there is an iridescent coloring in it. Just subtle, but it is there, and it's just beautiful. So that's what I'm going to do. I cut it to match the cardstock size. I'm going to put that down the center, so you're only going to see those hexagons just kind of peeking out. And then I'm going to take my flowers, and I'm going to lay those kind of coming up the side. Now, I need to glue my flowers together, so I'm going to take some Bearly Arts glue. I use Bearly Arts glue most of the time, just because it sets easily. I put it in a smaller bottle just because it's easier for me to handle in a smaller bottle. As you can see, I line up my little keyholes. This is the larger flower. I line up the keyholes, put a little glue around those keyholes, and then just hold it down in the center. And then I can take the petals, as I'm doing here, and just kind of curl them so that there is some lift to those petals and they won't be flat. So you can kind of curl them up. Now you want to make sure that your glue is set and you're holding it, firmly in the middle. You can use the layering guide that comes with all of these craft-a-flowers, and you use that because you want to make sure you put it in the right order and you know which way things are turned. Like this one, I'm getting ready to cover up my keyhole with this centerpiece, so I just wanted to make sure I had it set in the right way. There is one more little piece that I could add to this that came with the set. I just like this one little piece in the middle, and I don't usually add that other piece to it. But once this is on, and Bearly Arts does give you a little time there, I had it a little bit off, so I wanted to pull it up and change it. Once it's on, I'm holding it in the middle where I've glued it and still curling all the petals so that they have a little bit of lift off the page when I put them down onto the card. And if you're mailing it, they are going to get flattened out, but this is probably going to be, for me, a hand-delivered card. So I think the lift on the petals is going to look wonderful hand delivering this to a person that I work with. And I even pulled up that kind of centerpiece so that those are kind of sticking up as they would in nature, and they turned out really pretty. You can see on the second one, which again, this was the arrow, the one that had the arrow for the keyhole. And if you look at the layering guide, the first layer and the second layer go in opposite directions. Now when you cut these out, there is a number that is embossed next to that keyhole that tells you which layer it is. So that helps out as well. And this gets a little tricky on this one because the center will go on before the final piece. So that's why it's good to follow this layering guide, because I put the center on and then I put that final piece that covers up everything. So as you can see, I kind of checked which way it needed to go, where it needed to go, and then put it on, and then that final piece will cover up the bottom part of that center and your keyhole and make it a more finished look with that final piece. And again, once I get them glued down, I will curl the petals so that they have some lift. There's less petals on this one because it is a little bit smaller flower, which makes it really nice that there are different sizes in this set so that you can, either have a variety on your card, or you can just do, if you need just a smaller flower for your project that you're working on, you have a smaller one and a larger one to work with. And then the final one, it's the same thing as the last one. Again, just gluing each of the keyhole pieces together, making sure you hold them in place as you add the next layer, lining up that arrow. Once you've done a few of these, it goes pretty quickly to get these all glued together. One of my favorite things is layering dies like this of flowers. I think they're just gorgeous, and I think they just make a wonderful addition to a card front. Now that I've got all these pieces in place and I'm finishing up the curling of these petals, I'm going to start really laying this out and figuring out where I want to put everything. I did cut the sentiment hugs. I made several layers of that sentiment and stacked them and then attached it to the top of the card. So I decided I would, on a layout, I am going to have some of the petals coming off the card. It just means I'll probably put this in an A6 envelope so that there's room for the petals if I do put it in an envelope. Again, it may be hand delivered. For the leaves, I just kind of laid those out where I wanted them. A few of them I cut off parts of them because I wanted them not to be so long underneath the flower. They would have come out the other side. So just cut the bottoms off. It doesn't hurt anything. Nobody's going to see that underneath there. And then I glue the edge of the leaf, the bottom part of the leaf underneath the flower, and then I add the flower. I just glue the center of the flower so that the leaves, the petals, can then still be curled and pop up as we had been, kind of curling them as we were making them. You can see I cut that leaf down as well so that it's a much smaller piece, and that's fine. Doesn't hurt anything. I could actually use the other end of that if I wanted to. I won't because I have more than enough leaves for this project. I don't need any additional ones for this project. That was plenty that I made for this. And I have some indecision on how I want to lay it out. It took me a little bit to decide, where do I want leaves, where do I want flowers, how do I want them laid out? Do I want all three of them on there? I kind of did, but just making sure I get it on there right without covering up my sentiment at the top. And making sure that the leaves looked right. There was actually some greenery coming out from each of the flowers, but there wasn't too much greenery sticking out from places, that type of thing. A little more leaf surgery before I add this on the bottom so it doesn't stick too far out from that flower. That being the bigger flower is on the one side, the two smaller ones are on the left side. And there you have it, my finished project. And you can see the markers, how they enhanced each of the petals. I hope you enjoyed it. I thank you for attending. You can see I'm going to curl my leaves a little bit. Thank you for watching my video. And again, like, subscribe, and comment, and be entered to win a wonderful prize from Altenew. Have a wonderful day, and don't forget to hop along with the rest of the participants. Take care.